I've been working 7 days for the last month or so. We've been very busy and short-handed. But in my everyday, when I walk in, I try to walk in with always a smile, always with a smile. And I try to walk in with an attitude that I'm helping my mother. I try to walk with an attitude that they need the help from me more than I need it from them, because there's a lot of stress and there's a lot of headaches when you see them suffering or when you see them trying to struggle to get up. Sometimes the family are working or sometimes they're not there and they're alone a lot. So I try to go with a smile on my face all the time.
Welcome to another episode of the Home Health 360 podcast, where we speak to home-based care professionals from around the globe. I'm your host, Erin Valier, and today we're doing something special. We're diverging from our usual podcast format to revisit an inspirational conversation held with 3 home care professionals who shared some of their firsthand experiences at AlayaCare's most recent Better Outcomes conference. I actually had the pleasure of being in the audience, and I can say the stories these ladies told pulled on everybody's heartstrings. There weren't very many dry eyes in the house. And today, I am very happy to be able to share this inspiring conversation with all of our listeners who happened to miss it. We started the conversation by asking Ajibola from Right at Home, Donna from the Care Company, and Anna from Venture Forth what drove them into home-based care as a frontline worker in the first place.
Years back, my mom was critically ill, and we've lost hope, sincerely. So we rushed her to the merge, and I saw how the healthcare professionals out there rushed to her, out everyone was carrying out their duties, and miraculously she made it. At that point, at that moment, I proposed in my heart that I was going to also be a lifesaver, paying it forward. I love what I do, maybe because one of my values is compassion, though it could be challenging, to be candid, but I find fulfillment in what I do. And today, the rest is history.
I'm here representing the Care Company, and my reason for starting nursing actually is very cliche. I just like to help people, and I learned that very early on when I'd be the one running to the office for ice for someone that fell at school or whatever. So that's my reason.
My name is Anna Russi, and I represent Venture Forth. And I became involved in Venture Forth because of my mother. I'm the firstborn daughter of a lady who had 9 children. And I worked for the New York City Police Department for 27 years. My name is Captain Anna Russi. My mother kept getting ill, and all of us, 8 of us at that time, we decided to have a meeting and see who was going to care for my mother. I decided to retire and move to Buffalo from New York City and take care of my mother. Unfortunately, she was found that she had terminal cancer. And at the time of my retirement, I wanted her to take some trips with me, and I was going to be the miracle work. I was going to find what was wrong with her, and I was not able to do. So after she passed away 2 years later, I found myself back in Buffalo. I had purchased a house, and I didn't know what to do. And I could have gone back to the police department, and I'm retired already. And a friend of mine told me, why don't you try healthcare? And I said, healthcare? And she said, yeah, there's this company that I know, and they're hiring. So that's how I ended up going to Venture Forth and becoming an aide. And on my first day of being home, they called me to take care of my information. And I was nervous. But then when I saw the first client there and how much help she needed, it reminded me of my mother. And I was willing to do everything I could to make her happy and make her comfortable with the experience that had taught me.
As you might expect, a commonality among these individuals is their purpose and passion to serve others. For Anna and Ajibola, it was their mom. The reason I got into healthcare was my grandparents. On both sides, they lived in a really rural area and had zero access to care. And for others like Donna, these folks are just wired to be caregivers from birth. These are the type of people that just get immense joy from helping others. And a side note here, I want to point out that workforce strategies that are centered around uplifting, empowering, and investing in your people, the ones that just want to help, now that's the key to providing exceptional care and also to keeping those caregivers happy and having longevity in their roles. I also think it's pretty cool that the skills required to provide care in the home can lead to saving lives while you're just out in the wild, living your own life. Listen to the story that Anna tells.
I was in Puerto Rico just this July. And the reason I'm saying this because the amount of experience and the training that Venture Forth gave me helped me notice things. And we were sitting in the restaurant and there was 6 of us at one table and there was like 8 men in a table next to us. And they were mature men, I think, in the senior. And one of them and I assumed that he went to the men's room or went to do something. Then coming back to go to the table, for one reason, I had a feeling that he was going to fall. And I jumped up and I took a chair and I put it behind him and he sat right on it. And that's the experience that I got as an aide, as working for Venture Forth, and almost 10 years now. And that's how I became where I am now and why I'm here.
These ladies have so many years of experience and have seen so much. They talk about their work being a lot more than just giving medical care and doing tasks. They provide comfort, they gift their presence, and they show the utmost respect to the people that they care for.
I do have one experience that comes to mind. I was asked to take care of a 13-year-old that was just recently diagnosed with abdominal cancer. And I was asked to go in last minute, go in Saturday and Sunday, and I couldn't do the Saturday. It was my grandson's birthday. So I said I could go in Sunday, and I was going in blind. I didn't know what was going on. So I went in on the Sunday, and there were dozens and dozens of people. And the sign on the door said, "Don't ring the doorbell, just go in." So I went in and where's the client? And she was laying in her bed in the middle of the dining room and the table was pushed over to the side and all the supplies were on the table. And the parents were at the foot of the bed and all the people were just lined up and just paying their respects. She was alive. She was in the bed, but she was non-responsive. And then I realized that this is a huge family. I'm privileged to be in their home. The only thing she needed from me was ketamine, morphine, and hydromorphone every 6 minutes. And I had to take care of the family. And what we believe in is family-centered care. So I talked to the mom a little bit and she started showing me pictures. And then she showed me they had just gotten back from a trip at Christmas and the daughter was perfectly fine at that time. And then first day back at school, she coughed up blood. She went to hospital, was diagnosed with terminal cancer. And when I went in March, the mom also told me, she was showing me pictures, and the mom told me that it was her daughter's birthday yesterday. And I realized, oh my gosh, that was my grandson's birthday also, and kind of felt bad about that. And I saw the balloons still hanging around the house. And about a week later, I got the news that she had passed away.
What struck me from Donna's answer is the fact that home care workers not only care for their clients, they also care for family members. And in that regard, caregiving is way more impactful than you might initially imagine. The support given in the home reaches far beyond the door. You really do have the opportunity to change so many lives for the better. And although I'm not a caregiver, I can imagine how rewarding that feels.
There was one time I cared for a palliative patient and everything was happening so fast. The his health was declining. And then he made a final wish. He said, I would really love my family members to be at my bedside while I pass away. So the family was called, and to my surprise, they were there the next day. I don't know what they've discussed before coming in, but they all came in quietly into that room without saying a word. Some held the feet, some held the hands, and there was a huge silence in the room while my clients passed away. When my clients saw them, it couldn't communicate verbally, but you could sense the excitement, and how it could communicate that was being tearful. And a few hours later, he passed away. That moment taught me the power of silence. Why not saying anything, but you could offer comfort in crucial moments like that. I've always known that silence is powerful, but that moment showed me a bigger picture. I've applied that to my career, even outside my career, how being silent speaks louder than voice. Indeed, silence is golden. So it was a very fulfilling moment for me to be part of that process.
For anyone who hasn't been present with someone when they take their last breath, it is profound and an otherworldly moment. Nearly 2 years ago, I had the honor of being with my other mother, which was my mom's best friend. I was there when she passed, and it was in a setting very much like Ajibola just described. She was surrounded by her closest friends and her family when she transitioned. And I can say the energy in the room shifted in a very tangible way. It was just like her spirit was lingering there for moments. It's an experience that'll stay with you forever. And speaking from that experience in those kinds of moments, supporting the family is invaluable. When grief takes over, clear thinking flies right out the window. And having somebody there that is just even slightly removed and able to assist with the simplest task, like please drink water, that becomes an immeasurable gift.
My career for the 9 years have been smooth with my clients, except for the last holiday. I was with my client and we dressed her up because the family wanted to bring her across from where she lived to a barbecue. And I have not experienced none of my clients having any kind of strokes or heart attack or anything like that. Yes, maybe a little fever, maybe a little cold or something like that. But as we got there, we sat down and she wanted something to eat and I got her something to eat. And I'm sitting next to her and she finished eating. And all of a sudden I saw that drop in her face and then the arm. And thank God I had my phone and I have it for 911 for me. Because, by the way, I'm 80 years old. So I always have it there. So I pressed it right away and I knew the address and I called. But this was an experience and a shock for me to see one of my clients have a stroke in front of me. And it made my heart sad for her. And it made me know what it is to have something like that. Because at my age, I might have to experience it one day or not. But it was warming. And then everybody, like she said, everybody went quiet. We waited for the ambulance. We get her to the hospital. And with us, we have to stay with them until they're assigned to a room. And she's there. And I go to her, and I'm not going to use her name, but I said, Miss Katie, are you okay? And I ran to the station, nurse's station, to get a nurse because she was having another stroke right in front of me. And even though my hands are shaking because I didn't want to lose her, I love all my clients. I'm very attached to them in some way or another. But I was so happy that I was able to save her.
The stories these home care heroes share highlight that the work can be sometimes extremely emotional. And it can also provide opportunities to save lives. Anna shares her experience preventing falls in public places, and then saving a woman she loved very dearly from 2 active strokes. I imagine those moments are very terrifying, but also incredibly rewarding. Next, we hear more about the support Ajibola gave her client and how well she was able to recognize that client's needs.
First of all, I want to celebrate my company right at home for giving me the privilege to serve. This was during COVID, and I came to work and I was told my client has been so grumpy and restless, which is so unusual. I've always known over the years that when anyone, it could be a child or an adult, is coming up with unusual behavior, a need has to be met. Most of the time it's always emotional. So I approached my clients and I said, I was just looking for ways to get to know the need. So I initiated a conversation. In the process, he started talking about his daughter. So at that moment, I realized it's been a while he saw the daughter due to COVID, less of physical contact. So I called the daughter and I was like, please, is there a way you can come over just to see him? And at the same time, I wanted to be very careful to be able to get a safe distance. So the daughter was so happy to do that. So the daughter went to the window and then the man was in the room. So I wanted it to be a surprise. So I called him. I said, oh, I have a surprise for you. He was really grumpy about it. And I said, you know what? I think this is what you will love to see. When he stood up to see the daughter at the window, it was the switch for me from a grumpy man to a very happy man. He was so excited. You could feel the joy so palpable. It was really a heartwarming moment for me because I remember they were Italians and they were speaking their languages. Oh my goodness. And right there, at that moment, I just saw our family is everything. Family involvement is very crucial. So over the years, I always try my best to involve family in the care plan. Family means different things to us. So I try to ask my clients, who is important in your life that you would like me to bring into this process? I go far and beyond to do that. And it just validates the Maslow hierarchy of needs, love and belongings. We need that connection. And especially when we know we offer emotional support, but there's a missing link, which is the family. And it really goes a long way.
I love this story because it shows just how creative caregivers can get when it comes to bringing joy to their clients. And let's be honest, we're all trying to forget the pandemic ever happened. But there's no denying the isolation it caused took a real toll. It even costs lives. I read a statistic recently that social isolation and loneliness are associated with an increased risk of death. People who experience social isolation have a 32% higher risk of dying early from any cause as compared to those who are not socially isolated. And the effort that Ajibola took to remedy this for her client probably prolonged his life. But not all stories in healthcare are negative, as we will hear in our next story. Real life also provides a fair amount of humor, and we all know that humor is good medicine.
I have actually a few funny memories of nursing. Last year when I was in a school, I was taking care of a deaf little boy who needed an insulin injection every day. He had PTSD. He had just come from Afghanistan. And so he was hard to manage. So I thought, I'm going to learn some signing. So I was really excited. First day, I had learned to say, hi, my name is Donna, and I spelled out my name. For the whole week, I was, hi, my name is Donna. I'm going to help you with your lunch. And next day, hi, my name is Donna. I'm going to help you with my lunch. And then after a couple of weeks, his EA came up to me and said, well, what's your name? And I said, Donna. And she goes, well, you've been signing, hi, my name is Fauna for the last 2 weeks. So I said, no, that's not what the lady on YouTube said. But anyways. At the end of the year, they threw me a going away party because that was my last year. And they gave me a nice little card that said Fauna.
We dove into how each of these care workers avoid burnout. This is a real important topic. So perhaps we can all learn something from how these ladies have been able to provide care so joyfully over many years. An alarming statistic that I read recently was that 57% of caregivers report burnout, which, as we know, usually leads to churn. And this is costly. U.S. businesses lose somewhere between 17 and 33 billion annually, depending on who you ask. And this is just due to caregiver absenteeism, caregiver turnover, and reduced productivity. Obviously, it's important to rely on your colleagues and your family for support. So next, we hear Anna and Donna talk about the support strategies that help them to stay resilient as they deliver care.
In my everyday, I've been working 7 days for the last month or so. We've been very busy and short-handed. But in my everyday, when I walk in, I try to walk in with always a smile. Always with a smile. And I try to walk in with an attitude that I'm helping my mother. I try to walk with an attitude that they need the help from me more than I need it from them. I try to, because there's a lot of stress and there's a lot of headaches when you see them suffering or when you see them trying to struggle to get up. I had one client that she was struggling to get up, and I said, you need to get up for me, please. You need to get up. Let's try it. And then she kept trying. I said, okay, do me a favor. Can you bring that lobster up now? Because you can do it. And she looked at me. She said, what do you mean your lobster? I said, the lobster in the bag, move it. And she started laughing and she got up. But you have to go in with all these feelings that they have feelings and you have feelings. And sometimes the family's not there to give it to them. Sometimes the family are working, or sometimes they're not there and they're alone a lot. So I try to go with a smile on my face all the time. I don't care how sick I am, how tired I am, I go with a smile. Good afternoon, Miss Katie. How you doing today? What can I do for you? Let's go for a ride. Let's go dancing or something. And that's my attitude as I go to my patients or my clients every time.
I have a group of friends. So in nursing, you get a little posse or a group of friends that you trust. And I debrief with them quite often if I've had a hard day. Sometimes we even FaceTime, like 4 or 5 of us. We get together for dinners all the time. So you have to debrief. You have to talk to people.
This conversation with Donna, Anna, and Ajibola offered a powerful glimpse into the lives of frontline care workers in home-based care settings, which is often overlooked. It's so easy to get far removed from the impact that home care has on the people served and the community at large. I know this was a really good reminder for me, so I hope that you've enjoyed these touching stories and you are reminded just why you do what you do every single day in this line of service that we call home-based care. Thanks for listening. Home Health 360 is presented by AlayaCare and hosted by Erin Villier. First, we want to thank our amazing guests and listeners. Second, new episodes air every month, so be sure to subscribe today so you don't miss an episode. And last but not least, if you like this episode and want to learn more about all things home-based care, you can explore all of our episodes at alayacare.com/homehealth360 or visit us on your favorite podcast platform.